Here's a watch that will impress even the highest level watch collectors for less than $5,000. We're looking at the Frederic Constant Monolithic, and the main attractions of this watch are this component on the dial that appears to be vibrating, as well as an ultra smooth sweeping second hand. Now we're going to be using a bunch of fancy watch terms throughout this video, but I promise I'm going to break this down as simple as possible, and if you make it to the end, you'll understand what makes this watch special. So if you're wondering what this vibrating component is on the dial, first we have to backtrack to what it's replacing. Over 95% of watches made today use what's called a Swiss lever escapement. The balance wheel spins back and forth, and every time it makes a rotation, that pallet fork goes back and forth, and thus spinning more components on the watch to eventually send the time forward. And that's essentially what this component that you're seeing on the dial do, except this component does it 10 times faster. All right, so we understand the Swiss lever at this point, and that lever that's going back and forth, it does that 8 times per second. So that's why when you look at a Rolex and you look closely at the second hand, even though they say it sweeps, when you look close enough, you can actually see it ticking, and it's ticking 8 times per second, very quickly driving it forward. However, when we look at this component on the dial that's replacing the Swiss lever, it's actually making, instead of 8 beats per second, it's making 80 beats per second. When you look at the second hand on this watch, it's ticking 80 times per second, so you can't visibly pick that up with the naked eye. It just looks like this ultra smooth sweeping motion. In watchmaking, they usually talk about the beats per hour. Typical is 28,800 beats per hour, whereas this watch is 288,000 beats per hour. But it also makes a difference when you put the watch up to your ear. On a typical watch, you can hear the fast tick, tick, tick. You're actually hearing 8 ticks per second. But this one, since it's 80 ticks per second, almost sounds like a mosquito in your ear or something. And in addition to that, if you've ever heard the term amplitude of a movement, it's when you put a watch on the time grapher and we can see the amplitude reading, let's just say around 300. We're going back to our Swiss lever now. That's that balance wheel going 300 degrees at a time. This watch only goes 6 degrees. But you can see with your naked eye that this thing is vibrating in very short little motions. 6 degrees to be exact. Here's a slow-mo video of a Swiss lever escapement, and below it, the second hand movement next to this component that's actually called an oscillator, with the second hand movement below that. Now for the real watch collectors watching this video, if I was to say what watch has the smoothest sweeping second hand, most people would say the Grand Seiko Spring Drive, which is true because that watch has a true smooth sweep. There's no ticking to that at all, but the thing is with that watch is it's a quartz hybrid, whereas this is fully mechanical.